Welcome to the top of the hour and change after our national news from USA Radio Network. John Jacobson here with Coach Patrick Knapp Jr. You're listening to the Jacobson Report, the leadoff of our prime time Sunday night panoply of excellence. 5 great programs coming to you here on KOFO, 1220, 103.7 FM, and listen always live at KOFO.com, and then to this great podcast, the Jacobson Report, sponsored by Jim and Cindy Jandrin through their auspices at Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC, Energy for a Strong America, Renewable Fuels, Ethanols, it's lean, it's clean, and it's green, increasing those vectors for farm family income streams to keep our food supply in the hands of Americans, small business, Midwest Americans, and keeping the U.S. energy independent away from those Mid-East terror petro dollars. We don't want to play that game. Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC in southeastern Nebraska, as well as Life Runners. Get to liferunners.org. Get to that website. Order your t-shirt, Run and Walk for Life, building a culture of life for expectant mothers and their babies, both before and after birth. liferunners.org. And as always, we congratulate Dr. Pat Castle, just awarded for his great pro-life work of that excellent organization that runs hundreds of thousands, millions of miles across the globe, particularly in the U.S., particularly through college campuses, ending often their America relay race for life at Atchison, Kansas, just down the road here at Benedictine College. Dr. Pat Castle and his great team there. I want to welcome all of our folks listening in from Franklin and Anderson and Miami, and Osage and Lynn and Douglas and Johnson counties. You can pick us up in Olathe, the future home of the Kansas City Chiefs, headquarters and practice facility, as well as Williamsburg and Wellsville, Baldwin City, home of the Baker Wildcats, Emporia, outside of where the K-State Wildcats are in Manhattan, listening to us in Topeka, where the legislature is about to convene. Rock Chalk Jayhawk country up there in Lawrence, listening in tonight, as well as this signal emanating from here in Ottawa to Osage and Osawatomie, Princeton, Paola, Linden, and Richmond, and Gardner and Garnett. And we've got a special guest with us this evening, Grayson Lawson, along with Sean Torres, our engineer. Grayson is our weekend intern, news, weather, and sports guy here. Grayson is a great high school kid here at West Franklin. Grayson, welcome to the show.
Thank you for the welcome. I'm Grayson Lawson. I go to West Franklin High School. I'm 16. I'm a sophomore. I'm very excited for this opportunity to talk about sports.
Grayson's got that great baritone. You know, he's got that Randy Travis baritone, and he's only 16 years old. He is wearing that Kansas Jayhawk sweatshirt. Are you a Rock Chalk Jayhawk fan, Grayson?
You know it.
Well, you're talking to a coaching legend here. Coach Patrick Knapp Jr. Was at the forefront of bringing women's hoops at the collegiate level to the forefront where it is today. He was coaching that first nationally televised women's basketball game back in the early 1990s, coaching against a young Gino Auriemma at UConn, and he had teams that won the Big East, did deep dives in the NCAA tournament, and now he's still active as an ESPN broadcaster of women's basketball, as well as a big shot development director there at New Mexico State University. And he has his own podcast. Welcome back to the show, Coach. Tell us about you and Jerry Busson. You're picking it up again here in the new year.
Yeah, thank you very much, John and Grayson. Pleasure to meet you as well. We'll debate your Jayhawks here in a minute. But play-by-play podcast, Patrick Knapp and Jerry Busson. We have some great guests coming up in the next 6 weeks. And some of them deal with sports law. Some of them deal with the super women of hat. And some of them deal with NCAA men women's basketball. So stay tuned to Play-by-Play, wherever you get your podcast, Spotify, Amazon, iHeart, wherever.
Coach knows basketball. Obviously, he's pivoting right now in the Southwest U.S., but he coached along the East Coast for many years. But, man, the guy could recruit in the Midwest, and he knows his Kansas teams as well. Guys, let's get ready for our Coach Knapp update here. He has been studying hard, Grayson, as have you, Mr. Lawson. You've been studying, too. And, man, we are in college football playoff heaven right now, as well as NFL playoff heaven and hoops. We're going to talk about the Jayhawks and the Wildcats and all these great festivities going on in sports across the land. Let's start with hoops, Coach. You're a hoops guy. I know Grayson's been doing his homework. Let's talk about basketball in the state of Kansas, where, just as a sidebar, we are the home and away voice not just for your Kansas City Royals. Coach also has been doing good research on the Royals' off-season moves, but indeed, the Ottawa Braves men and women both secured big victories yesterday at home. Blake Griffin on your radio play-by-play, yours truly, the public address announcer, and 2 solid wins for our men's and women's Ottawa team. You can hear all that play-by-play action here, always on KOFO Radio, and we're the home of the Ottawa Cyclones, a rival of yours, Grayson. And Coach, let's talk about KU basketball.
Well, good old Kansas Jayhawks lost yesterday at West Virginia. A very difficult place to play. West Virginia was in the Big East when I was there at Georgetown, and they get great crowds and they get fired up for their Mountaineers. Kansas is now 11-5, 6-1 at home, and they better be good at home. They're 1-2 in the conference because they play number 2 in the country, Iowa State, coming up. I have to tell you, to me, the whole story of the Jayhawks revolves around Darren Peterson and his availability. What is it with his cramps, with his legs? Sometimes he looks like he's on a pogo stick out there. He can't play defense, but he really can shoot the ball. He's an outstanding scorer. 30 minutes yesterday, 23 points, 6 rebounds, 3 for 7 from 3. Trey White had 18 points. But I think the West Virginia defense is what stood out to me. They really stuck to the Jayhawks. West Virginia, Honor Huff, 23 points. He took a lot of shots, but he was a factor. And this guy, Brennan Laurent, had 8 points. You know, a few games earlier, Kansas beat TCU at home 104-100. The key factor there was TCU was up the majority of the game, and I believe with 3 minutes to go, up 11. So they blew that game, but they missed 9 free throws and they had 16 turnovers. I don't think Bill Self was completely happy, other than they got out there with a win. It proved to be the case at West Virginia, and now, wow, Iowa State coming in. It's going to be a tough game.
It is. Grayson, have you ever been up there to Fog Allen?
No, I haven't.
But you are a big fan, and you're a young kid. You probably haven't had a whole lot. I mean, you don't have a car yet to get up there and a license to get up there yet. But your reflections on this Jayhawk team, do they have what it takes to go far this year?
I think they do. I think the TCU game really deciphered that. The way they were down and they came right back up. I mean, beating TCU down that many points is really impressive. See, I'm not that big of a basketball KU fan. I've watched I've been to their football games, of course, but I love their field, their basketball court. I've seen inside. It's very nice.
Have you been to the new football stadium?
I think the last time it was years ago last time I went, but yeah, I went to their baseball stadium actually, maybe 2 years ago. And I really like KU baseball.
They've got a great program there. Our Ottawa women play up there every fall in a cancer fundraising effort there. It's a great stadium. It really, really is up there on the west end there, up there in Lawrence. It's really 3 campuses up there at KU. You've got the East, the Central, and the West campus, a beautiful campus. K-State, what about the Wildcats, Coach Knapp? What do you say about K-State?
Well, they're 9-7 and 0-3. They lost it at Arizona a few days ago, but yesterday I did watch their game at Arizona State. They got beat on the boards, and Arizona State had 10 blocks. This guy, Mohammed Jop, wreaked havoc inside, 7 foot tall. ASU took a lot of poor shots, committed poor fouls, missed free throws, but Kansas State could not catch up and take the lead. KSU got out-rebounded 48-34, which again shows the inside dominance of ASU, who's not that good of a team, personally. I think K-State is in for a rough year. P.J. Haggerty had 25 points. He's their best player for the Wildcats. He had 6 turnovers. You can't do that and be the best player on your team. So right now, 0-3 in the conference, looking up at a number of different teams in the Big 12. It's in fact, they're looking up at everybody but Utah right now.
Coach, I follow.
Tough, John.
Yeah, Coach, I follow K-State and Kansas women both on the volleyball court because they play my wife's favorite team, the Huskers, a lot. They played them in the NCAA tournament, actually. Both teams did in succession. Right. And I do follow their hoops because K-State in particular has had a great rivalry with the Iowa Hawkeyes. And, of course, you know I'm close to the Caitlin Clark, Lisa Bluter phenomenon. Lisa Bluter, who you out-recruited Jennifer Neal to get there in the early 90s when she was the Drake coach. Coach, any quick takes on Kansas K-State women's hoops? They both had good volleyball seasons. What about hoops?
Well, right now, John, they're struggling. About a month ago when I talked to you, Kansas, I think, only had 2 losses. The Jayhawk women are now 1-3 in the league, 11-5 overall. Kansas State, 2-3 in the league, 9-9 overall. It's a rough beginning to a league where you have Texas Tech, Utah, Arizona State, and TCU at the top of the league. And to my knowledge, right now, Texas Tech and Arizona State and TCU are ranked in various polls. So it's a rough one. It's a rough one right now. In the Big 12, Iowa State's ranked 11th. I forgot them. TCU 13, Baylor 16, Texas Tech 17. Arizona State has snuck into some women's polls because they're 16-1, but I think their schedule's been a little less. So going to be a long year in women's hoops in the KC area, I think, John.
Grayson, I know here at Ottawa, the Braves support both their men's and women's high school basketball teams. At West Franklin, you're just a bit west of here, but in Franklin County. You guys go girls basketball games to give those girls support?
Of course. They actually won against Chase County. I think it was Friday. We met boys basketball and girls basketball both won that day. That was the first win for boys basketball at West Franklin. I think the second win for girls basketball, but I couldn't make it. I had work in the morning, so. But yeah, I heard it was a good game. Everybody was really excited. I was glad to get all the reports back in the morning and cheer everybody up. You know, it was good. I think we're gonna have a good upbringing after this. Hopefully, we can win some more games.
You know, the ladies that play basketball at Ottawa are really great young women. They're good students. They're nice kids. Same thing at West Franklin, I'm sure.
Yeah, definitely. We have some really good players. I think our confidence is way up now. I think the next game is going to be definitely we're probably going to get close, maybe win. I don't know who they play, but I'll let you know.
Grayson's always on Saturday mornings with all of those prep scores that have all occurred late on Friday nights. That's why you want to catch Grayson's sports here. Every Saturday morning, he'll have all of those prep scores. Well, guys, let's move to the NFL, if we can, for just a second. Oh, my goodness. Have there been some great games or what? Let's talk a little bit about some of the playoff action that we've seen. And I'll tell you, I know that I've got plenty of opinions myself on the Green Bay-Chicago game, but Grayson, you were watching the LA Panthers game, of course, and you think that you've got a few comments you want to make about that. Coach, I'll let you go ahead and set things up for us and kind of talk about what you saw in terms of yesterday's action.
Well, yesterday's games, LA was at the Rams were at Carolina. Rams 34, Carolina 31. Matthew Stafford 304 yards passing. I think he had 4 TDs. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are just outstanding receivers. Carolina, I thought, was going to come from behind and win that game. It's amazing to me, John, the lead changes, particularly late in these games. I think
incredible.
The offensive coordinators are having the upper hand on the defense with all the points being scored in the fourth quarter.
Unbelievable.
The other game, and then I'll let you guys review what you saw. Most notably for John, Green Bay lost at Chicago 31-27. Obviously, the McManus extra point kick miss was critical, or Green Bay could have tied that game late in the fourth quarter. Caleb Williams, John, was unbelievable. 360 yards, 61 yards passing for Chicago. And again, the coordinators on offense, Ben Johnson, can really call a game. So great win for Chicago.
I think that was such a psychologically crushing defeat for the Packers. I don't know if that franchise will recover for 5 years from a loss like that. I don't mean to emphasize it, but literally they snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. In this case, LaFleur's got to go. They need to dial Harbaugh, and you can't have a kicker take 7 points off the board like McManus. That was brutal. But what was amazing to me was just the total dominance of the second half by the Bears and the Packers. The Packers were hapless, defense that could do nothing, and I think it was after being up 21-3 to basically surrender the game like that. I know Packer fans are incredibly bitter, and Grayson, I know you didn't get as much on that game, but you were looking at that LA Panthers game. What was your take on that earlier game?
I watched the fourth quarter of the LA Panthers game. I mean, a little bit of it. Yeah, they were Panthers were fighting definitely hard, trying to get that one field goal in just to tie the game and get to OT. I mean, still, I like to see the LA win because, they got, I think, Devontae Adams right now. And then, that's my brother's actually favorite player at the time. And, he went from the Raiders to the LA. And now I'm excited to see if LA can do anything. I have a buddy at West Franklin who's a huge Rams fan. I mean, he wears, the socks. So, hopefully they can, make it pretty far in the playoffs.
A little bit more on that game.
Yeah.
Stafford had 3 TDs, not 4. He had 1 interception. But I was rooting for Chicago. My teammates, my good friends in Philly were not. They would have rather played. They would have rather played. It wouldn't have been. They would have rather played the Rams. If Green Bay had won and Philly wins today, the Philly Ram game would take place at Lincoln Financial Field next week. Obviously, Philadelphia needs to win today against San Francisco. I'm definitely afraid of Stafford and those receivers. And Sean McVay has chopped us up several times. We won a game in the playoffs 2 years ago with the Rams stalling out at the 10-yard line in a blizzard in Philly. They were that close to winning that game, or we would not have gone to the Super Bowl last year. This year, in the third game of the year, they were set up for a 33-yard field goal, and the Eagles blocked it.
Yes.
If they hadn't blocked it, the Rams would have beat us. So I wasn't for the Rams at all. We're going to be playing Chicago in Chicago if the Eagles win today.
Hey, Coach, a follow-up question. Is Jordan Love even the best Packer quarterback? And how do you justify LaFleur? The Packers lost their last 5 games. They were in the division championship seat at 9-3-1 right around Thanksgiving. They've dropped 5 in a row. They end up 9-8-1. To me, their late season slide is almost as bad as that of the Kansas City Chiefs. Does Green Bay need a complete shakeup, maybe even in the front office as well as with the head coaching staff and maybe even at QB?
Wow. Well, there are a lot of big-time radio, TV hosts that I listen to who don't like Jordan Love. But he had 4 TDs last night. He had several guys drop passes on him. I don't think the issue was him. I think it was the Packer defense, without a doubt. You can make a case LaFleur should go. But I think the GM has brought talent in there year after year. People respect his drafts. And, of course, he traded for Micah Parsons, who's been out half the year with that knee injury. So maybe a change at head coach, John, but that's as far as I go.
Grayson, you're a Chiefs fan, I take it?
Yeah, I watch the Chiefs games. I'm really a Steelers fan.
Oh, a Steelers fan. Hey, what about that Mike
Whoa.
Tomlin? You got the Philly Flash here, Coach Knapp, so you got a fellow Steelers fan. Grayson, I like him. the Steelers to my Iowa Hawkeyes. You know, Hayden Fry, when he took over at Iowa, changed the Iowa uniform to look like the Steelers because that was the run that Chuck Noll had with Terry Bradshaw and Franco Harris and the gang of those 4 Super Bowl wins there within a decade, basically. And I say that Iowa and the Steelers are still very similar. They always win 9 games a year. They get into the playoffs or a bowl game. They don't usually win the big one, but they never have losing seasons. And Tomlin's never had a losing season in 20 years. That is an impressive feat, isn't it?
Very. Yeah. Every year, Steelers get into the playoffs and they lose the first game. So it's like hard cheering for him. Love the team. I'm really excited that Aaron Rodgers is on the team. I mean, he's the oldest quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for that because he was, part of Green Bay. He moved over to the Steelers, and now we have pretty good quarterback. And hopefully we can get a younger guy next year.
That's for sure. Coach,
hey,
so
John?
what? Yeah, Coach, go ahead.
Yeah. On that game, since we're on Pittsburgh, Tomlin is 0-6 against the spread his last 6 playoff games.
Wow.
But he's undefeated on Monday night. This game is on Monday night. And I agree with our young friend here, Grayson. I think Aaron Rodgers has had a very good year. I think he throws the ball tremendously well. He'll get it out quick. I think it's Jaylen Warren is their running back who's having a pretty good year and a great last few games of the year. He's got DJ Metcalf back. I'm taking the Steelers, who are getting 3 points at home against Houston.
Well, guys, Grayson, you weren't even around, but 53 years ago, I was about your age when the Immaculate Reception occurred, the miracle toss by Bradshaw that defeated the Raiders and sent the Steelers to the Super Bowl back in 1973. Here's the greatest call ever by Kurt Gowdy with Al DeRogatis.
Last chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. Franco Harris had the ball on the deflection. 5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Let's watch this
1 million
again.
to 1 odds on this one.
Ricochet out there off of Jack Tatum and into the man of the year, Franco Harris's hands.
Here's the
Coach, that was one for the ages, was it not?
Remember it well, John. Those Raider-Steeler games back in the 70s were all legendary. And to this day, if you watch that replay in slow-mo, you can't tell who hit the ball.
I know. It's the
can't
argument.
tell
It's been the
who it
argument
was.
for over half a century.
And so the referees at that point in time made the call they thought was best.
Yep.
And it was a miraculous win by the Steelers.
It was incredible. Well, this is an incredible show. How fast this half hour is gone. We'll bring Grayson back with us next week because he's just warming up. He did so much show prep. Grayson, any final thoughts here or reports or pontificating you'd like to do? You did some show prep. What caught your eye that you think our audience might be interested in, Grayson?
Do you want me to talk about college football?
Yeah, let's do it because that's one thing we haven't done. We got 3 minutes. Go.
Okay, I really do think Indiana is going to destroy Miami. Well, necessarily not destroy, but I think it'll be a close game. Indiana is 14-0 with no 5-star players. Now the number 1 seed. I mean, what better can you get on an Indiana team? I really think Kirk Cinetti is gonna. Brought this team to the line of the. Just great. I love when they show Cignetti on the camera and he's all mad and they're like 50 points ahead of everybody.
He looks like Belichick, the grumpy granddad, you know?
Yeah, he's just all mad, like he's not winning, but he's 50 points ahead. Talking about the first drive, literally the first game in the Ducks, Ducks threw it, interception, touchdown. I think that changed the whole momentum of the game.
Yeah.
Shot Indiana's confidence up and, brought Oregon straight down. And, yeah, they destroyed the Ducks. That was a hard game to watch if you're a Ducks fan.
Yeah, that's a pretty good take, Coach, isn't it? All I will add is that kudos to the ESPN cameraman. He's making Oregon cheerleaders great again.
So are you. So they win as well. I agree with you, Grayson.
Yeah, as a Big Ten guy, of course, I remind my wife. She says, I'm rooting for the Big Ten. I says, they're both Big Ten teams. She says, well, Oregon is a newcomer, of course. But, boy.
Hey, John, Deb's got to be happy with that Nebraska men's basketball team, huh?
That is unbelievable. Yeah, if Bobby Knight could dial up 94-year-old Tom Osborne and tell him, Tom, I saw into the future, Indiana and Nebraska undefeated, and quite amazing. And yeah, great years for the Huskers and their close to 75-year-old broadcaster Kent Pavelka doing 50-plus years at the mic for the Big Red Men. Pavelka was on the mic with the great Lyle Bremser as far back as that game of the century in 1971, Nebraska versus Oklahoma on Thanksgiving Day. I love the longevity we've got with the few remaining broadcasters, Coach Knapp. It really makes me nostalgic for the old days.
And Gary Danielson just retired.
I saw that.
And not in the business as long as the gentleman you just mentioned, but Gary D is out to pasture. Thank you, Gary D.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we still got Sean McDonough in the booth. So I remember when Sean McDonough had some hair on his head.
It's from doing hockey. It's all those stadiums that are freezing.
That's a brilliant point. And Coach, one other bit of good broadcasting news. Al Michaels at 81 years old is going to return again next year to do NFL TV games with Kirk Herbstreit on the Prime and Amazon Network. He had a good call last night, I thought, Grayson, in the Packers-Bears game. Grayson, 46 years ago, he was calling the USA versus USSR hockey game that we were all watching in our college dorms. The great Al Michaels. I'm glad he's coming back. And you know what? Even the lovely and gracious Mrs. Jacobson said, he looks good for 81. I think a little bit of hair dye helps, but hey, what's a little bit of hair dye among friends? Trump uses orange, right, Coach?
That's right. That's right, he does.
All right, guys. Well, this has been a great half hour. Thanks, Coach Knapp. Catch him on the podcast, Play by Play. You can find it through our station, but just go to Spotify or iHeart or anywhere and find Play by Play with Pat Knapp and Jerry Bassone. For everybody here, including Sean Torres, our special guest Grayson Lawson, I'm John Jacobson saying stay tuned for great additional programming on this Sunday night. Thanks to Jim and Cindy Jandrin from Midwest Renewable Energy, LLC. Energy for a strong America is lean, is clean, and it's green. Ethanol, renewable fuels, and through their auspices of sponsorship of Life Runners, liferunners.org. Go to liferunners.org, get your T-shirt, run and walk for life. Help those expectant mothers and their babies both before and after birth. And check them out someday with one of their relays across America that will probably culminate just down the road here at Benedictine College. For all of us on this Sunday evening, liturgically, the Feast of the Baptism of Jesus Christ by John the Baptist, which kind of officially ends the Christmas season. My lights are still up tonight. Be safe, be smart, be good, be strong. Love Jesus Christ, and God bless us, everyone. Bye-bye.